The UK government has announced major decision to its visa regulations, which also includes a change in income thresholds to manage unfair levels of migration in the country. The UK is not the only one country to be having such rules. Even countries like New Zealand, Canada and Australia have made the rules strict in recent times. But there has been a substantial increase in the number of people that have moved to India recently. In fact, with UK becoming, of course, the sixth preferred country when it comes to Indians migrating. Well, although, of course, Britain now has made the rules more strict, what will be the impact of that on those wanting to go to the UK is the big question. Joining us at this point is Mahesh Sachdev, former ambassador. We also have Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, joining us live. Sumit Peer, political commentator, is live with us. Robinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, is live with us on the broadcast as well. Let me bring you in here first, Ambassador Sachdev, on what has prompted the UK to make the visa rules more stringent.
Thank you, Uday. I'm glad to be here. There are several reasons that have prompted UK to tighten visa regulations. First of all, it was long overdue. Last time such visa ceiling was revised upwards was nearly a decade ago. Secondly, high immigration is cited very often in the opinion polls as the third or second largest reason for citizens' dissatisfaction in UK. This is important because elections are due in the near future, and the ruling Conservative Party is trailing after 14 years in power with something like 10% points behind Labour Party, which is this number is pretty large. Thirdly, after Britain left Brexit, the economy has not been doing too well. Last year, in the second half, it entered into a recession, a shallow recession at that. And in January and February, the economy, month-on-month basis, has grown tepidly, anemically, 0.2% in January and 0.1% in February. If these were not reasons enough, there is a strong resentment about perceived criminality and of the immigrants. And the common citizen feels that much of the problems are disproportionately caused by heavy welfare drainage spent on immigrants. I think these are the reasons that I would like to cite.
Surinder Singh Lali, what will be the impact of this, these visa rules on Indians in particular who want to go to the UK in the future?
Thank you. First, it's such an honor and pleasure to be here. And I think as Ambassador Sachdev broadly summarized, Uday, first of all, I think it's an internal prerogative of the government in terms of how they plan their immigration rules. But from what I understood, I'm going to start on a note of levity, as they used to say that the sun never sets on the empire. Guess the sundowner is full swing and the pun is intended. Uday, according to me, COVID and Brexit were two major reasons why this has happened, because there has been a paucity of, labor. And obviously, to fulfill that gap, they allowed immigration. But because of some of the laws where people who came into UK, skilled or unskilled, could also get their dependents. I mean, just in the recent past, they allowed 68,000 people to come in. But including the dependents, there was 170,000 people that came in. So the other 170,000 were existing. They were burdened on the strong healthcare, the NHS, and the social security and other things. So I think it's an effort by the British to actually secure their own people in terms of protecting British workers and their wages, their burden on social and healthcare sectors. Yes, impact on us will be I don't know how much, because we Indians are all over the world. And obviously, some of it would be England's loss too, because I think we make some of the best immigrants across the world. I mean, an average immigrant, since I was one in the United States, within 15 days when an Indian gets to the United States in specific, is productive to the system. So I think, yes, obviously there could be some loss in our foreign exchange, but our kitty is a lot more larger. More than that, I think it could be their loss, because especially they need a lot of people in the healthcare business. And that's where we are one of the best, lack of a better expression, exporters in the world in terms of, nurses and healthcare people. So that's what I think so far. Thank you.
So with Peter, now this is not something new. It's not just the UK, but other countries too that have made their rules more stringent. From Australia to Canada to New Zealand. So should this be seen in the same context, or is the UK's decision isolated?
Uday, thank you very much for having me on your show. There are a couple of things here. The first and the most important thing is that UK's economy is shrinking. Usually the thing is that the younger people pay for the older people. When you are young, you pay taxes and all. That gives benefits to the older people who are not able to work due to age and all. That is a typical classical model, how these economies are based around and how the social security network runs. But problem with UK is that, unfortunately, you have seen those uncontrolled immigration, which is happening to UK at a mass level. One, what we know are some of the reported numbers, but the unreported numbers can be even 5 times the reported numbers. The challenge is here, there are companies, there are agencies who are operate around the world in Africa and in whole of the Islamic world, which will tell you that I'll get you immigrated to UK. Worst case, you take admission in a course, then you could start the course. After some time, start getting your mama, start getting your papa, start getting your bhaiya, and all the others, how the whole family lands up in UK. Now, if you look today, London, as per some reports, are saying that the London only Caucasian population is now 33%. The rest are all immigrants, and mostly they are from the Islamic nations, and especially Pakistanis. There are so many companies, there are so many agencies in Pakistan who specialize in getting you to UK, and they take X amount of money, and people are willing to give that money. And let's not forget, in Pakistan, officially 1.7 million people leave every year for better destinations, and unofficially the number is much higher. A lot of them end up unofficially, and one of the best places is London. The challenge is, if you look at a place like Brampton, the city is run high and dry because these people are not coming here to work. They are not coming here to do anything. They are trying to reduce, siphon out the resources, siphon out the public welfare, siphon out the funds which are given to the people, the legitimate citizens of United Kingdom for the social welfare. So they are not coming to UK to build a future, but they are coming to UK to live by the resources of the UK. Now that thing is started collapsing the whole system. If you look at this, Italy, you had one day, I forget the name of that, Lampedusa. In Lampedusa, the population was 6,000, and you have 7,000 immigrants from Tunisia arrive in a single day, and they were all over Lampedusa. And then you see the crime rises, you see the rapes are rising, you see this, these grooming gangs which are run by Pakistanis. How many videos do we see on social media wherein a 13-year-old girl is tried to be raped by a Pakistani? So these are the byproducts of this uncontrolled immigration, because they are trying to live by there. And there's one more mafia which starts. They try to marry a British girl, come what may. Because as a sure shot way of getting a British passport, you get a British passport, you have access to the American passport, you can have better access to the Europe. You don't need a visas for a lot of places. So UK, unfortunately, had become a place wherein all these scams, literally scams, were running out of that. So if UK is doing it in the public interest, which Australia has done, I think which a lot of other countries are doing and should do, because today the immigration is the biggest challenge. Look at United States of America. 7.5 million people have entered America illegally today. 75 lakh log, and they have no identity where they are. So if these kind of people start entering the system where you have no head and tail, you have no mama, papa, for example, don't take me literally, you don't know anything about them. So the challenge is, how do you control crime? How do you ensure that the social welfare is distributed to the most apt people? How do you control, the kind of outrage which comes in the society? And the biggest challenge is these people, who of them are ready to work? Maybe 10% of them, they work for any amount. So where goes the minimum wage? So people will employ them, they will not give the minimum wage. I'll give you this much. There'll be no minimum wage, no insurance, no benefits need to give it. What ends up? They end up eating the jobs of the people who are Britishers, who are the people, typical citizens of UK. So they have to sacrifice their jobs because of this. Sorry, they have to sacrifice their jobs because of this. So this is a challenge which the system has to see. And if looking at that, they are trying to streamline the system. It's a good thing. As far as Indians are concerned, sir, we are skilled people. Everybody needs us in the world. We don't go in containers. We don't go in boats like two nations. So if one country is not there, we have 200 countries to go on. And, today we have around more than 7 million expats who work in India, Uday. So very soon, by 2030, we'll have more expats working in India than the NRIs working out of India. That's what the estimate is. So for us, it doesn't matter. For people like Pakistan, for people like these Middle Eastern countries, some in the south, upper Saharan countries, African countries, and all, for them it matters a lot. And for all the people who are running these scams of sending people to UK, it will matter to them. But for a Pada Likha Indian, for a productive Indian, what Mr. Laliji said, it won't matter. The world is our playground. We can go to anywhere. We are welcome anywhere. That's my take on it, Uday.
Absolutely. And there will be changes, Rabinder Sachdev. There will be changes. UK is no longer the most preferred destination, is it? And perhaps these new rules will make it even less preferred. What do you believe is going to be the impact and what has prompted this overall, Rabinder Sachdev?
Thank you so much, Uday. See, in the big picture, I think what has prompted has been eloquently said by Ambassador Sachdev, Laliji, and Sumit-ji. Big picture is, I think, a couple of things are there. One, immigration is coming into focus. And remember, there are two aspects to it, legal and illegal. We are right now talking the legal, right? The matrix which are being set up for the legal immigration and as to what the minimum salaries, etc., should be. The illegal is a totally different bucket. So even looking at the legal immigration which is there, what countries are coming around to it? Seems like even the Canada, US, UK, Germany, Japan, South Korea, all of them as aging societies and needing, workers. And that whole thing is that they're taking, I think, now a long and calibrated view as to how many people do they need along the legal route, right? How many people they need in their workforce. They're planning that out, I think, much more scientifically or logically now as compared to 10, 15 years ago. One. And secondly, they're looking at the cost of living in their countries. In Canada, for example, right, when a student would go, I think the student had to put up a guarantee of about 10,000 US or Canadian dollars as a bank guarantee towards the living expenses, and the tuition fee was separate. But now Canada has doubled that because the cost of living in Canada has gone up. That's reflecting the reality there. Similarly, what's happening in the UK now is that, let's say for the family visa, if there's someone in the UK and who wants to bring somebody of the family into the UK, fine. Earlier they had this, the minimum was, I think, about 18,000 or 19,000 pounds annually. Now they're saying it should be 29. I think by next year they're saying it should be 37,000 pounds. Yes, I do think it's logical because that's the cost of living there. Because if the folks who are going there, the legal route, are coming with a lower salary level out there, that means the family member, whosoever comes, can become additionally a higher burden on the social and the welfare structures which are out there. So to avoid that, they are raising the minimum salary levels, they're increasing the levels of security which is required, they're raising the skill levels so that those who come in are employed at, at better salaries out there. So this is whole the legal immigration thing, and I see it as a trend growing, and it will grow more and more. Now, as to the illegal immigration, yes, all of that is there. But at the same time, we should realize, and I think we should look at, that even Indian illegal immigrants are floating around in large numbers in Europe, in US, the border with Mexico. Apparently this year, there are about 60 to 70,000 Indians out there who've crossed for seeking asylum. From Canada, coming into America North, around 30,000 Indians undocumented have come in. Apparently that's the number. So those are large numbers. But we are not going into that. Those are the illegals. Similarly, this whole thing specific to the UK, for Rishi Sunak, again, political, definitely, yes. His thing was that, stop the boats, that he will stop all the illegal immigrants coming in. He has not been able to effectively counter that. So in all of this, these policy implementations, I do think that there's definitely a level of politics and their ability or inability to tackle the immigration question in their countries.
Yes, how should Indian, prospective migrants, prospective students, prospective job seekers react to this development, Ambassador Sachdev?
It has to be tackled at two levels. People who are highly skilled would always be needed. And this IT personalities, new technologies, etc., are Europe in general, UK in particular, particularly in the times of recession. This is their trigger to revive their economy. They need to do things in artificial intelligence. They need to do things in Industrial Revolution 4.0. They need to do all sort of things in bioinformatics, etc., etc. And that's where skilled Indians are needed. NHS has already been cited as one of the biggest uh, magnets for such people, and I think that would continue to be the case. At the second level, the students and the unskilled or semi-skilled workers would have to take a call. The cost of living has gone up in UK. The salaries, the living wages are lower. The GDP has not been growing, so the per capita income has also not been growing, and the salaries have a downward pressure due to recession. Uh, I think UK would become less attractive, and this would have a major impact on this massive group of Indians who would have to find alternate places to go to. Japan is, for example, emerging as a uh, geriatric heaven. Switzerland is emerging as a geriatric heaven. Average age is beyond 70 these days in these two countries. South Korea has a very low birth rate. Taiwan needs people. Even Israel, in the current situation, needs immigrants. So there would be new paradigms being created. And I think this all flux would head in a different direction. But over a longer term, I think it will be necessary for us to create more jobs for semi-skilled and unskilled workers, improve the quality of our own education, and that should be a priority. Thank you.
Yes. Also, this perhaps is going to stricten in the days ahead. There are perhaps harsher rules coming. It's not going to become any easier or less stringent, is it, Surinder Lali?
Thank you. Then I want to take up from where Ambassador Sachdeva left, that we need to create better institutes and better academic institutes in the country, because once again, a note of levity, with artificial intelligence, we don't need to go into their country to get their jobs. We can do it sitting here in Bangalore and in Hyderabad too. So I feel that, the world, for that matter, isn't that big, because countries like, Japan and Germany, there is a language problem too. By going to England, our language issue was solved. So as soon as you got off the airport, you could communicate to somebody. And if you look at the trajectory of how a lot of Indians left, before they left for Africa pre-independence, and they went to England to build the railroads, and then to the United States. It started with, the Lockheed Martins, the NASA's, that was the first lot, then the doctors, then the nurses. And then when, the Silicon Valley and the computer thing happened, and then, a lot of Indians went into the technology hub. But I think for me, it's something that we need to, in fact, work more back home with, because honestly, a lot of Indians who've even gone in the last few years to Western economies because of artificial intelligence and the way technology is evolving in non-skilled jobs would be redundant. Please understand, artificial intelligence and technology comes at a certain cost. So we need to be very judicious, and we need to really understand what sort of institutes we ought to create within our country, because today, with the way technology evolved, like we're all sitting in the comforts of our offices and homes and talking to each other. None of us has left, even the comfort of our office. So I think now going to other, barring a few industries, we don't need to really get a passport and a visa to go outside to make money. We can do it sitting here also. So I think, yes, for us, it's a bigger challenge for us inwards than to worry about the United Kingdom or the United States, is how, with the emerging middle class, the emerging aspirational Indian youth that is coming up, it's very important for them for us to create enough opportunities for them so that we can sit in the comforts of our country with technology and infrastructure and artificial intelligence just at the doorstep. We earn good foreign exchange and become from 3 to 2 to maybe number 1 in times to come.
Okay, let me take that across to Sumit Peer as well. Sumit, that's a good point. It's an opportunity for Indians to stop looking at these destinations in the West with rosy tinted sunglasses on. It's time perhaps to concentrate on our own infrastructure, to look at how to make India a better preferred destination.
Well, one such example is Sting with you, Sting in your show, that's me. So I have come back from US and Europe and all, decided to work for my country and be in India. So there can be numerous such examples who don't get the opportunity to come on TV and talk like that. But I believe there are a lot of people like that. Uday, when you're already number 3rd by PPP, number 5th by GDP, and it's a matter of 2 years will be number 3rd by GDP also. You have a growth of next 100 years. You have a demographic dividend of next 70 years. You have the world's 3rd highest, 4th highest foreign exchange reserve. You have the 3rd to 4th highest military, most powerful military. You will grow at 7.8, 7.3, 7.5, 7.6, 7.78%. Today, with all this, you can be the London. If you like the London, you can be the London of the world. If you like New York, you can be the New York of the world. Today, honestly, I agree with Laliji. We don't need to look out for revenues which are out of India because मैं तो यही मानता हूँ सारे जहाँ से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. So when it comes to study, when it comes to living, when it comes to making a living, I think this is the best place you have to live in. And with the kind of resources we have, with the kind of leadership we have today, with the kind of focus India has today, we are going to be the growth engine of the world. And there are predictions that in next 17 years, our GDP will be around $34 trillion. So imagine at $4 trillion, के सबको खाना पीना मिल रहा है. If it goes to that amount, right? If it reaches 34 in next 17 years, see the quantum of growth and development what will happen here. So for one single reason, why does an Indian and a hardworking Indian need to go and build somebody else's country? We don't need. And today, as I told you, more than 7 million expats who are today here. I'm counting the first person, not their families. There are 7 million visas which are issued. Now with this rate, by next 10, 12, 15 years, by 2030 or so, we'll have more people working here than the people going out. So the things have changed, trends have changed. UK is no longer the place that you want to live and die for. With all the due respect to the people who live there, they have their personal preference, but there is no need. Zarurat nahi hai. If you want to still go, you want to still be there, that's your personal choice. Nobody can stop you. But is there a need to go? What education you don't get here? Why do you need to go for education out of India? What kind of employment opportunities you are not getting here? How many startups have we started? Uday, 10 years, 110,000 startups, more than $330 billion of wealth created, more than 800,000 people employed. This is one startups. If you look at our fintech, $7 trillion industry today, $7 trillion, more than the GDP of the country. So likewise, there are so many things which are happening in India, and the kind of work which the government has put in next 4 or 5 years, you will see that going to the grassroots level. You will see going to the last man on the road. So when these things come up, then a lot of people might even contemplate, यार हमारे घर में भी तो रोटी है. We don't need to go on a bread and living there and try to be illegal there or whatever. But still, some people on the legal side who have a personal choice who want to go there, they'll always have options. Nobody can stop them. But then there's a difference between a need and an option. There's a difference between an option and a compulsion. So option is there, but compulsion is not there. Need is not there, but the desire can be there. So this is where the paradigm will end. So we have to build India. We have to build India. We have to make India the number one economy, and we have the time, we have the demographics, we have everything what we need. So why not come together and build India? So भाई लंदन तो यहाँ भी बन सकता है. दिक्कत क्या है? दिल में होना चाहिए बस.
Rubinder Sachdev, last word to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. We have the potential here, etc. But at the same time, I'll say, okay, by the way, even I studied in the US, lived in the US, had my startups in the US, and I've come back. And I think from Lali ji also, perhaps an ambassador also. So of course, you have folks on this panel who all lived and worked in cross-cultural environments. That being said, yes, India is rosy. At the same time, I would say, and perhaps, there's still a long way for us to get there, right? The option, the people who will have the option to go out there, study, work there or not work there is a different set of people. We've got 1.4 billion people in the country. And I don't think that all of us here would be looking at only options in India. If we get some options outside India, be it even a construction laborer, people would go legally, let's say, assuming, right? Forget the illegals aside. So it will take time for India or Delhi to become a London or a New York or a Shanghai even. So, but yes, the trend is there. The onus then definitely, yes, I would say is more on the policymakers. The onus is on leaders, the entrepreneurs, the business leaders to create the opportunities, and the teachers and the universities to create that ecosystem so that we have our youth, better equipped, better educated, etc. Because if that does not keep up, not only keep up, it has to accelerate hugely, given the numbers we have. There will be a large number of people who are even maybe technically speaking graduates who've done their bachelors or whatever, etc. But what quality education and how employable and what kind of skills they have and what kind of salaries could they get out here or be it outside? They won't get jobs outside with the level of skills we have right now of our graduates, or even within 3 to 4 years of graduating from even engineering college, or forget the top maybe 5, 10 MBA institutes, the hundreds of MBA institutes who are churning out students who end up working in call centers or business process engineering companies at the lower levels of salaries of what, 20,000, 25, 30,
Yes.
40, 50, 60. So where will those guys go? They have aspirations.
Okay. All right. Let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. We've run out of time. It's time for a short break.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.